Ironing your clothes. Seriously, who does this anymore? You're gonna throw a jacket over that shirt anyway. This is about a Cap successor, not an Iron Man.
The criminal organization known as LAF is targeting Captain Vassant, one of our military liaisons.
LAF.
I share the confusion, Sam. Another acronym for an organization in the MCU? Does this one stand for lazy as f***? Because that's what all this acronyming is starting to feel like.
And Sam, this has to be subtle.
Character says something has to be subtle because it will be oh so hilarious at how not subtle it will actually be. Cliche. Not looking before you leap. There's like a whole saying in everything.
Sending intel to your HUD right now.
I love how tech in the MCU just works every time to send extremely complex data and audio despite loud environments or long distances. And when I say love, what I actually mean is am severely doubtful of.
Louis, c'est moi qui tuerai.
Did everyone brush up on all the previous Captain American films and bring your notes? Because we're barely 4 minutes in and we're already having to remember who the f*** Batroc is and why we should care.
Okay, switching to plan B.
Fun fact, this is why everyone working at S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters has to wear lead-lined clothing. Falcon is an equal opportunist when it comes to taking a peek.
Je veux qu'il arrête de bouger.
Instructions from inside an NBA rules committee meeting about James Harden somehow makes it into the script.
Red Wing, engage.
Considering the high noise interference environments it's used in, I'm calling it a design flaw that engaging Red Wing is done with voice activation. This should be via glove or arm button, unless of course it's just an excuse to say Red Wing so the fan clan can excrete some pleasure fluid. Also, I love how Red Wing just knows that engage means go use your genital laser to cut an exact hole out of this plane at a very specific door seam, with no further instruction. Nice of Batroc to be standing right by the doorway so Falcon could get the easy attack on him. And if Batroc was standing right there when the door flew open, shouldn't he have been sucked out of the plane with it? Pilot gets hit by a ricochet bullet and immediately dies and slumps onto the controls to make the plane dive to increase the tension of the action scene cliche. We're playing all the hits today, kids. Geez, how fast did this guy secure this hostage and get into a full jumpsuit after he knocked Falcon out by, checking notes, kicking him so he hit his back on something? It's impressive for sure. After the pandemic, I swear it'll take me 20 minutes to get into a pair of jeans, let alone don a full body flight suit with a strap-on hostage. Laughing about a basic front flip when human life is on the line. Okay, fine. This action scene is pretty amazing. It's clear that Marvel is refusing to pull punches with this stuff and putting resources into making it look spectacular. I guess I'll tip my sin cap with a quick removal. Well done. Still, the guys in these helicopters not being able to hit Sam even once is utter bullshit, and I will be sinning that.
Red Wing, get him off our ass!
But you didn't say engage. Engage is like the please of the robot world. You have to say the magic word. Look, I don't have time to go all Mythbusters on this move and figure out the complexity of matching the three-dimensional movement of two independent bodies, one of which has giant blades creating enough downforce to stay in flight. So let me just say, nope.
Keep going, we're close!
Well, okay. I mean, I was planning on landing the helicopter right here, but if you say so, I will go ahead and, what was it again? Oh, right, keep going. Also, the commander told Sam earlier on the plane they were already in restricted airspace, so why does Batroc think traveling into a different restricted airspace will make a difference? This face.
Oh, heads up, you're about to fly into Libyan airspace.
Not sure why this matters, because once again, the commander told Sam that they were already in restricted airspace. They're already committing all the illegals. How many choppers do these random terrorists have? We've seen at least 2 blown up, and this third is followed by a 4th loaded to the gills with missiles for a last-second tension builder. I'm just trying to figure out the plan here. Hijack a plane, take a hostage, and then was the plan always to jump from that plane? Even though they had control of it? They had all the equipment to do so, but if Falcon never shows up, they just fly direct, right? But still, they have a flock of fully loaded choppers at the ready just in case? I mean, there's planning ahead, and then there's omniscience, and this feels more like the second. Also, now is as good a time as any to remind you that Hawkfly abandoned an unmanned plane to just continue on its way flying over the desert. Sure, they showed us it went to autopilot, but that sucker was flying to Libya too, and it's never mentioned again, and I need to know how did they stop that plane? This works. Working on next-level high-tech equipment outdoors in a sandy environment.
Online, there's just been a lot of stuff about Steve, actually. Crazy conspiracy theories. Some people, they think that he's in the secret base on the moon.
MCU Anon, showing us recognizable Washington, D.C. architecture, but still feeling the need to splash Washington, D.C. across the screen. Sam even said in the last scene he was headed there. I appreciate they're giving this shield the white glove treatment, but Papa Doc was clearly putting his fingerprints all over that thing.
So you're gonna make me ask, why didn't you take up the mantle?
Damn, it's almost not fair that Marvel can just bring in Don Cheadle off the bench for a few minutes and add this much gravitas to the proceedings. In fact, it's so not fair that instead of taking another send off, I'm adding one for how not fair it is. So deal with it.
Half hour before last call?
I can't, guys.
I have to prep for tomorrow's session.
We've seen a lot of stories on the dangers of alcohol, but here we have a situation where going to get a drink would have saved a guy's life. I honestly can't say how I feel about that messaging, but I do appreciate the attempt to flip the storytelling norm. Any second now, Bucknuts is going to burst through this painting, but why does he wait? If he's going after this group, bust a hole, grab your guy, and get the buck out of there. Also, considering the Winter Soldier is borderline unstoppable, does he really even need to perform this kind of subterfuge? His target is now more aware of the attack than he would have been if Bucky had been hiding in the guy's room or dropped down from the ceiling. And the target has a better chance to get away because Bucky has created the obstacle of drywall that didn't need to be there. Sleeping on a hardwood floor. I said hardwood.
You're a civilian now.
Maybe the show will explain how this is possible, maybe it won't. But I can't imagine there is any explanation for how a murderer on the level of Bucky Barnes would be allowed to freely walk amongst the population. Regardless of the fact that he was Manchurian candidated, he still killed a ton of people. I like Bucky. I like seeing Sebastian Stan in the MCU, but I will never be able to buy he can just go get some baby back ribs at his local Chili's whenever he wants to. This could have been handled differently. This should have been handled differently.
With your history, the government needs to know that you're not gonna
What? Root for the home team?
What was rule number 2?
Nobody gets hurt. It's a big one.
Then why isn't it rule number 1?
James Buchanan Barnes would be excellent at TV sins.
Look, I know that you have been through a lot, but
Skip. In case you confused it with the LaCroix that you drink, even though it tastes like you're licking the bottom of a swampy rhinoceros foot.
Uncle Sam!
These kids solely exist so that someone gets to call him Uncle Sam and everyone can turn to their neighbor while watching and go, get it? Uncle Sam? Like the military? But shut up, Cece. We all get it.
Try the whole online dating thing. It's pretty crazy.
Also, there's that whole you're a former hitman for Hydra thing. Perhaps remove the part of your profile that reads former hitman for Hydra. But now I say hail no to that. HMU. Speaking of that, why does no one recognize Bucky? I know when he was Winter Soldiering, he had the half mask, but there have been pictures of him in newspapers without the mask. I'm not saying he's Tom Cruise trying to walk down the street in peace, but Sam, out of Falcon gear, and Torres had some random guy walk up to them and call them Avengers. If there are strangers that know Torres, there's surely plenty of people who would recognize Bucky.
Tiger photos? I mean, half the time I don't even know what I'm looking at. It's a lot.
Sound like my dad.
Your dad laments that dating apps are full of tiger photos?
Keep a couple games around for boring shifts.
And I picked up Battleship, and I swear it has nothing to do with your previous connection to war or any thematic ideas of subterfuge that the show we're on is playing with. It was a random game, I promise.
D8, sucker.
Hit.
Why aren't you using the electronic noises when you're clearly playing Electronic Battleship? Also, why have you only placed 2 of your ships? And why do you have 3 hits on this ship when she's only marked 1? And why are you surprised she guessed B8? It's the obvious next guess after she hit on ED and C8. And later, Bucky's gonna take 2 guesses in a row. Show obviously doesn't know how to battleship correctly.
No, there's no word for someone whose kids die.
It is fairly recent, but the Sanskrit word vilama has come into usage. It means against the natural order of things, and though I could add a sin for the show not mentioning this, I'd rather this be a sin for the type of grief that I can't even imagine and no one should have to experience.
How was the date?
This is a great reveal. Even if you see it coming, it perfectly conveys the depth of what Bucky is dealing with and how his past actions have affected so many other lives. Marvel does the pew-pewing as well as anyone, but they can also bring the character moments. And the tears. I'm not crying, you're crying, Susie.
2, 1, go.
Disobedience.
So I don't know how jurisdiction works here, but I don't have to place you under arrest.
Torres saw what this guy just did to the cop. Does he really think pulling a gun on him was going to be effective? Torres survives this.
I knew it, Falcon.
Really? Dainty butterfly hands is what got this guy to Falcon?
You know what I've always wondered? How do you guys make a living?
Oh, I know. Let me try this one. It's a TV show and it's fiction, so quit asking dumb questions because you're ruining television shows. And I like the other narrator better anyway. How am I doing? I understand their priorities are to secure a loan at the bank, but maybe leave a smidge earlier and give the food to those in need before the sun bakes it in the back of your truck.
Oh my God, Sam, you better look at this.
Hey, you better come take a look at this cliche and news position at the same time. You're straight up mocking me now, aren't you, Marvel? Look, when you're using CGI to de-age Kurt Russell 40 years younger and stuff him into a Captain America suit, technology has officially gotten out of hand.
Did you know that we create monthly exclusive videos for our Sin Club members? Bonus outtakes,
I don't know, Peter. Meth is a hell of a drug.
extra Sins videos,
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
and even member-chosen Sin commentaries.
I love this. I love this kind of a sin because it's so silly.
Pick our next video and see the exclusives at patreon.com/cinemasins, or click the link in the description below.
Spider-Man is not a parade. You do not need to stop traffic for Spider-Man.
Is he wearing a parachute? No. No, he wasn't.
C'est comme un poisson, non?
Les poissons. How I love les poissons. I'm going in. Cover me, Porkins.
I trust people.
Trust no one, Mr. Mulder.
So, now that you've stopped fighting, what do you want?
Peace.
We are the United States government. We don't do that sort of thing.
Do you eat sucker?
And my favorite vitamin, I might add.